tuning back into another KLX300R video. Today we're going to be talking about the EJK fuel tuner that I put on this bike, and we're going to talk about some of the issues that I ran into with setting this thing up. A lot of people out there on YouTube have had nothing but good experiences with installing this. Well, for me, I ran into some problems, and a lot of that is because, I'll just say it right up front, I didn't really read the instructions that came with it. I just kind of went ahead, since I've done fuel tuners in the past, just kind of installed it on the bike and thought I could just plug in the settings that everybody else is using on YouTube and expect this thing to work right. Well, in my case, it didn't work. So we're going to talk about it today. Guys, like and subscribe. Let's get into it. All right, so we have the EJK fuel tuner installed on this thing. And if you've never seen any of the other videos on these tuners, there's a ton of videos on the KLX300 with these, or just the regular KLX300, not even the R model, with these installed. And pretty much that's kind of what I was basing my install off of, and that's kind of where it led me astray. Instead of reading the instructions on how to set this thing up, I kind of just went ahead and installed it on the bike, which is really easy, by the way. I can kind of walk you through it just verbally without really showing you, but essentially it's super easy. So what you're gonna do is unplug the one that comes stock from the factory. You're gonna unplug it, and you can't mess this up because only one plug will plug into it from the new wiring harness that goes to the tuner, and then you're gonna plug the other end to that fuel injector. So all you're doing is literally bypassing that old plug and going and creating a new loop to the fuel injector. And then that's where the tuner is gonna come into play. But that is pretty much it. And then you're gonna have a ground wire. So you can attach the ground wire to the negative battery terminal, or you can just ground it off of a unpainted surface if you needed to grind something down. But I just went to the negative battery terminal, and that's essentially it. Well, and that's essentially it, or so I thought. What I ended up doing after that was just going through some of the modes here, and I'll turn the bike on and just kind of go through some of the modes. So this right here would normally tell you that you have something disconnected until you have the bike started. But we can go through right here and see the modes that I currently have. So this is the settings that come with this EJK tuner. And how you can get back to these settings is just by holding down or pressing the, so how you can get this thing reset is what I had to do, is you're gonna go down to half on every single one of these. So you can see how that's flashing. And now it's flashing really fast. Well, that's because it went all the way down to half setting. So we can speed that back up. Now it's flashing just barely. That lets you know that it's on one. So you're gonna do that for every single mode all the way through. You're gonna put it to the half setting, and then that resets it back to the factory specs that EJK downloads on these tuners for your specific bike. Each specific bike is gonna have its own EJK tune already installed on the tuner itself. The rest of the stuff is literally just allowing you to add fuel or kind of taper the fuel back, but you can only add fuel with these tuners. You're not going to be able to decrease the amount of fuel that's going into it, I guess lesser than the stock setting. So EJK does give you this quick reference card. It tells you what each of the modes mean. So I did use this and also everybody else's information, but essentially the green mode, which is your cruise fuel, so the very first one, everybody would have it set at 4. I even see people that would have it set at 6. So you're adding a lot of fuel, but every time I would do this, it would just bog the engine down at idle and it wouldn't work. So if you have any comments or whatever, or advice for me with this bike, please let me know in the comment section, because I don't think this thing's running right. I do have the KDX snorkel. I do have just the FMF Power Core 4 exhaust, and we do have the pair valve delete, as you can see there, the block off plate. That is all we have going on this bike right now. So pretty much just stage 1 mods. So I guess at the basis of the story here, EJK has the same tune for your bike straight from the factory. You shouldn't have to do anything else but plug and play. It's already set up for stage 1 settings. But when you look at EJK's website, it says the optimal stage 1 settings is you have it on 4, and then I believe the next one, which is orange, is set for, I think, 3. And then the red is gonna be, I think, your maximum rev range. Let's see, full throttle fuel. So I saw a lot of people just selecting, you know, all the way down to nothing, pretty much cutting it off. But I wanna say that said to have it at like 3. And then the green, blue, idle switch, yellow, blue, accel switch, and red, blue, full throttle switch. Everybody said not to even mess with those. You literally just leave it at what it is. So this is even off compared to what everybody else was saying. They were saying for the, I think the red, blue, I think for the green, blue, it was gonna be 3 and then 8. It's automatically 8 for the red. So it was like 3, 8, and then for the next one, yellow, blue, it was gonna be like 2, 8, and then the other one was gonna go back to 3, 8. So I don't know what's going on with this thing, but right now I do have it running good. I just don't think it's completely optimal for what it should be. Let's listen to this thing at idle, and I'll show you some revs and stuff like that and see what we're working with. I think on the tuner though, it's not reading optimal. Now from some of the instructions, it said that you want the meter to be running halfway over when it's just idling. Mine doesn't do that. It doesn't go all the way over. So any help, guys, is appreciated in the comments section here if you can help me out, because I want to get this bike running in the best it possibly can. Especially dumping all this money into it, you want it to run really good. But let's do some revs and let's show you some idling. Turned on here. Don't know if it's completely optimal. I've checked for any kind of leaks around the airbox, around the hoses, you know, around the exhaust. I don't have any exhaust leaks, any air leaks anywhere. I've made sure the pair valve is completely seated. So I don't know. Kind of at a loss here, but guys, at the end of the day, if this thing's running good, even though it's only reading the 2 instead of the 4, I think we're going to go ahead and press forward with this. But yeah, if you can give any advice in that comment box, I'd definitely take it. But yeah, going back to trying to set this up like everybody else does, just wasn't happening. And I get it. Every bike's going to be a little bit different, but just about everybody on YouTube was saying the exact same thing as far as the settings go. So I'm just kind of baffled at why this one might be a one-off. Everything else seems to be working good. But when I took this thing out for the first time after just kind of setting this thing up like everybody else did on YouTube, man, this thing would cut out. It wouldn't idle worth anything. Literally, I could pull in the clutch, come to a stop, and it would just turn off. It just wasn't getting enough fuel, or maybe I guess it was getting too much fuel, and it was just completely bogging the engine down. So that wasn't good. But I just don't know. This thing, I guess from the factory, really wasn't running that lean. So maybe that's something different. I don't know. Everybody kept saying that these things run extremely lean from the factory. And I just didn't find that to be the case. The header pipe didn't glow red. And it really didn't seem like it got that hot. I'd ride this thing for hours on end and come to a stop. And, you know, I could touch my gloves to it. It wouldn't burn the gloves or nothing. It didn't seem like it was running too lean. So I don't know. Maybe something's different with this one. I wouldn't expect it to be, though. But who knows? But guys, we're going to take this thing out. We're going to do some testing on the trail, show you kind of how this thing sounds, show you if there's any decel popping going on or anything like that. We're going to see if it can happen in that video. We're just going to do some flyby passes, kind of showing this thing off and see what it's capable of, guys, and see if we can get this tuner dialed in to where it needs to be. But guys, let's go hit the trails. All right guys, we're about to go out on this test ride. Let's fire this thing up. So far it seems really good. It's way better. Like I said before, this is just reverting it back to the stock tune that comes on this EJK tuner. I mean, it seems really good through that entire power band right there. No popping, no D-cell pops. I mean, maybe the whole thing is just different per bike, I don't know. But I mean, it seems really good. Popping, cracking whatsoever. I haven't heard it at all. Really good throttle response. I mean, dang. Night and day difference compared to what it was before. I mean, even though it might not be reading what everybody else is saying, I don't think there's an issue. I mean, that right there was a 4th gear pull, and there was minimal bog, if any. It just takes off like a rocket. Well, I guess as good as this thing can. Definitely no race bike. But it puts it down. Way more responsive. So yeah, big improvement over the initial test that I did with this. I didn't capture it on video. I just had way too many struggles. But let's do some flybys. It out so much further now. Before, you would hit the rev limiter like super quick. Oh, I'm so short. Before, you'd hit the rev limiter so quick. Not now. Man, that is way better, guys. That's just crazy. Crazy how much more responsive this thing is. right there. You can just rev it out so much further. I wish I would have done a before video. Maybe I can pull up some old footage, but I don't know. It's just a night and day difference. It really is. So this is just the stock EJK tuning that comes on the tuner. All you have to do is plug and play. I had to go back down and revert to the stock settings on this thing because I kind of screwed it up when I installed it, but honestly I can say big improvement. Definitely worth the money if you're looking to upgrade the KLX, because let's just face it, it's no race bike. But the thing I love about this bike is the fact that you don't have all those crazy maintenance intervals. It's just a good, common person. Big backfire right there, but it hasn't been backfiring. It has a big backfire though. Huh, that's the first backfire I've heard. Popped really loud. From our little test ride with the stock settings that the EJK tuner comes with. Super impressed with the results. I wasn't expecting the rev limits to be where they're at. This thing could almost rev to the moon is what it seemed like. So over stock from the factory that the KLX comes with, this thing revs like a monster now. I really wasn't expecting the tuner to make it that much different than what it is from stock. Honestly, I just expected it to kind of do away with the D-cell popping, and that was literally about it, where I could use the exhaust and it not make the backfiring noise. But man, it kind of just transforms the way this bike revs out. Definitely a lot more power across the entire power curve. So I would say this is a pretty good investment, especially if you're looking for a louder exhaust, make it sound a little bit better. You're gonna have to have one of these tuners to increase the fuel, so you're not gonna be running the engine so lean. But in the end, I think this was a pretty good little investment. It was a little tricky getting this bike where it needed to be because I kind of screwed everything up with trying to run everybody else's settings. But come to find out, this bike, I don't know, for me and this tuner, I don't know. It's working with the factory EJK settings, but it's not what everybody else is running, so I don't know what's up, but hey, it ran good. You saw in the videos, it's running like a top. So I'm not gonna change anything, but any suggestions on what possibly might be going on with this bike that's making it not run the same as everybody else? It's getting, running the 4 on the very green setting or whatever. I don't know. If I do that, this thing's gonna end up dying because I guess it's getting too much fuel. So if you have any suggestions, please place those in the comment box below. Once again, like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this with the KLX300R. We're going to be doing a lot more videos, a lot more ride-alongs, and who knows what else we're going to do to this bike. So just stay tuned for that, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.